I may be on vacation, but I can still watch The Mandalorian. I'm John Berry, and welcome to my review of The Mandalorian Chapter 8. So, as I understand it, this is the final episode of the first season of The Mandalorian, and what it sets up at the end leads well into another season or another arc, but I'm 99.99% positive that this is the end of season 1. Guys, know that little bit like, I wanted to continue right away kind of mentality, but sometimes we just gotta deal with what we have. So, let's actually get into the review. So, the episode is subtitled Redemption, and it has a lot to do with the Mandalorian. Well, how do I put it? Maybe the best way is actually just to talk through the episode and explain it. So, the episode opens up where Chapter 7 left off. And that was with our heroes, the Mandalorian, Cara Dune, and Grief Karga. So, well, hero-ish, he's definitely come around to the side of our heroes. And they're facing Moff Gideon and a bunch of Imperial Stormtroopers and Death Troopers. And we find out that Moff Gideon knows exactly who is in that container that's still alive. He reveals the Mandalorian's name to us. Like, I was not expecting that really until the last episode of the season. But I still wasn't even expecting it really in season 1 at all. But we are reviewed, it's... Okay, and... Dinjar, something like that. So, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, so we learned the Mandalorian's name. We learned that he was adopted and raised by Mandalorians. We learn about his past in this episode, which has been building. We get the inkling of it in the earlier episodes, and here we are given the final and complete story. His parents were killed during a separatist attack on where they lived, and the Mandalorians, well, they adopted him as a foundling and raised him as one of their own. And then, of course, we pretty much always knew that Cara Dune was a former rebel shock trooper. Nothing special there. But we learned that Grief Karga, he wasn't always the head of the bounty hunter guild. Apparently he used to be some sort of magistrate, or some sort of state official. Maybe on that very planet that they're on, which the name I forget, but the headquarters of the bounty hunter guild. Maybe some other plan, but they all got basically a past more or less. But focusing mostly on the Mandalorian, who we learn the most about, well, we learn more about how Mandalorian, it's described as a creed rather than a race, the Mandalorians. In Legends, it was more described as a culture rather than a race, which I kind of prefer that description better, because it allows, I feel like, for more flexibility. And of course, again, different groups of Mandalorians will have different interpretations of what it means to be Mandalorian. But we also learn about who this Moff Gideon is. He was apparently an ISB agent on Mandalorian during the time of the Emperor, and that's how he knew the Mandalorian's name. And that's how the Mandalorian knew that there was Moff Gideon, because of all that jazz. Because his birth name is only in the official records on Mandalore. There's basically no other records of who he is, which is actually pretty interesting to say the least. And then, so, I'm losing my train of thought here, and this video is going to be very unedited because I don't have the same software on vacation as I do at home. So I'm just interjecting this here to let you know about those things. But yeah, now let's get back to the review, shall we? So we learned about the Mandalorian's past. And we also learned a bit more about IG-11. Not too much more, but a little bit about how his new program of being a nurse droid basically supersedes all other programming he may have. His duty is to basically kill and protect. And that specifically applies to the child, to baby Yoda, in this case as revealed in this episode. And we learned that the Ugnaught character, I forget his name, but he is sadly dead. I did not expect that to occur, but it did. But IG-11, he rescues Baby Yoda, takes out the scout troopers. And he's the first character to apologize to showing violence in front of Baby Yoda, which is actually kind of interesting. The droid's the first one to recognize that the Baby Yoda really shouldn't be seeing all the violence that everyone around him is engaging in to protect him. Even though it is to protect him, at that young of an age, he still probably shouldn't be seeing it. Yes, he's 50 years old, but he's still a baby in body and mind for all practical terms. IG-11, first one to notice it, but that might be because he was reprogrammed to be a nurse droid, to basically care for others, which I think is very neat. And then they get this small scene between the Mandalorian and IG-11. The Mandalorian had been injured by a weapons blast, or actually Moff Gideon shoots a power crate for an E-Web blaster, and that severely injures the Mandalorian. And what IG-11 does is, well, first of all, after Greef Karga, Cara Dune, and Baby Yoda escapes into the sewers, IG-11 takes the Mandalorian's helmet off to administer a Bacta spray that will help heal the Mandalorian. Of course, the Mandalorian is resistant to this and says, "No living being has seen my head my face, is what he said, since he, I believe, adopted the oath for the creed," something like that, relating to becoming a full Mandalorian coming of age. And IG-11's simple response was, "I'm not a living thing." And so this is the first time we, the audience, have seen the Mandalorian's face. We know what he looks like because we have the actor, but this is the first time we actually have seen the Mandalorian's face. And the Bacta spray does help, and they're going through the sewers trying to find the Mandalorian Enclave, and they run into a pile of Mandalorian armor and helmets. And the only other Mandalorian they find is the armorer, who, they have a conversation with her, and she forges the insignia, something like that, basically the symbol of the Mandalorian's clan, which is going to be the Mudhorn from episode 2, which he rejected earlier on. And then the armorer calls Baby Yoda a foundling and tells the Mandalorian that until Baby Yoda is either of age or is reunited with his people, Baby Yoda is in his charge. Basically, it confirms that he's Baby Yoda's adoptive father. In fact, I'm going to make a whole video about the relationship dynamic between Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is an adoptive father with basically a rough past, and is a single father too. All that. I want to do a video breaking that down, maybe comparing to some other examples in media we do have of single fathers. I can already think of one already, but that's for another video. But that is something I think we're going to be seeing a lot of the next season. It's going to be him and Baby Yoda journeying to basically find Baby Yoda's people. So whether that be the Jedi or more of his species, we just have to wait and see where that goes. But probably the most fascinating part of the episode is actually the ending. But we gotta cover a few things first. They go to find a lava river, which is not like Mustafar lava. It's a bit more tame, it seems like. But at the end of the tunnel the river is in, a bunch of stormtroopers have flanked the edge of the sides of the tunnel to pin them in. So what IG-11 does, because he still has his manufacturer's protocol of not being captured, and he says that it supersedes all his other protocols in this instance because it is the only way he can actually carry out his new primary function, that being caring for Baby Yoda. Because he sees no ways where he survives and Baby Yoda survives. Because he's a droid, he can run thousands of analysts and probability checks, and he's determined that the only way for Baby Yoda to survive is for him to sacrifice himself, which he does. And that allows everyone to get out of the tunnel, but here comes Moff Gideon in his TIE Fighter, and, well, let's just say they are kind of pinned down, and because the blasters don't do anything against that TIE Fighter. But I forgot to mention this earlier, but the Mandalorian Armor Smith gives the Mandalorian a jetpack, which he has not had yet, so he finally has a jetpack, and he uses that to get up to the TIE Fighter's level, to Moff Gideon's level, and places some detonation charges on the TIE Fighter to take it down, which works. TIE Fighter crashes, and our hero as well, they're going to, for now I'm going to divide the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, go back to the Mandalorian's ship, and I'm going to go on more adventures, probably to find Baby Yoda's people, is my best guess. And Grief Karga and Cara Dune stay on that planet, and Grief Karga offers Cara Dune a job as his enforcer. Basically, the idea that would be basically, I would say, chief bodyguard, and make sure people don't mess with him pretty much. And so that to give her a job and maybe help her overcome her past, which I think is the start of the Mandalorian's journey overcoming his past fully in this episode. And then they go their separate ways. For now, I'm saying who knows what will happen in season 2. We just gotta wait and see. But we should cut back to the wreck of Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter, and he cuts his way out. He cuts his way out. Not with a lightsaber, but with a dark saber. So this makes me nervous for the character of Bo-Katan, because she's the last one we know to be in possession of the dark saber. Because we see that in the final Mandalorian-centric episode of Star Wars Rebels. That's only within a year of Star Wars A New Hope, to give you the timeline. And we know at some time between during the original trilogy, the Empire massacres the Mandalorians, which Moff Gideon does reference in here, and they use repeating blasters, because even even though Beskar is very strong, it can only take so much, and apparently repeating blasters are one of those things that can be a bit too powerful for them. Which is kind of surprising, but yeah. What this tells me is that he was involved in that massacre somehow, and he was able to take the Darksaber. Now, whether Bo-Katan is still alive, we just have to wait and see. Well, we know that Sabine Wren is still alive, because she was on Lasalle for most of the Galactic Civil War, epilogue of the Star Wars Rebels. So, there's still other Mandalorians out there for the Mandalorian to approach to get help on his journey. And it's definitely going to be a journey for him. We're probably going to be seeing Baby Yoda actually start to grow, which we have not seen yet, and I apologize for my phone going off just now. So, we just gotta wait and see where things will go. But, this is basically where all our characters are. We have the Mandalorian Baby Yoda off to do something, off on a journey, most likely to find Baby Yoda's people. So that's either going to be other of Yoda's species, or it's going to be the Jedi, which means Luke, and potentially Ben, and maybe even Ezra Bridger, because we don't know his status at this point, and who knows about Cal from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. We don't know the statuses. Same with Ahsoka. We don't know the statuses. So the Mandalorian could find any one of them. In fact, that would be a good way of completing some of the characters from Rebels storylines. Dave Filoni is involved in the Mandalorian, so that is always a possibility. But let's not get hopes up. But we know they're going on a journey. Grief Karga and Cara Dune are going to be on the planet, basically rebuilding the Bounty Hunter Guild, and maybe making it more respectable. I have a feeling we have not seen the last of them. It's a good chance in Season 2 they'll get pulled into the Mandalorian story, the Mandalorian will get pulled into their story. We basically have to wait and see. And then Moff Gideon, he's going to be probably the main antagonist of Season 2, because that I've heard that Season 2 is already planned and being written. So, we just gotta wait and see, but he's going to be basically... He's going to be most likely going after the Mandalorian, and we're going to still, and he's still going to be one of the people hunting Baby Yoda, and we're going to probably find out why, hopefully. And he's probably going to want his revenge on the Bounty Hunter Guild, and the Mandalorians as a whole, and we're going to probably get into questions about leadership of the Mandalorians, since he has in his possession the Darksaber. Maybe the Mandalorian will take it from him and assume the mantle of Mandalore, the leader of the Mandalorians. We have to wait and see, of course, but these are the things that have been set up, potential storylines that the writers, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, who I would say are the chief creative people on this, will be potentially exploring. They could explore other things, For all we know, Season 2 could deal entirely with the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, just having an adventure of the week type thing, not much connected to a bigger story. Don't think they're going to do that, because streaming services do tend to lend themselves to continuing stories that there's a beginning, mid, end across several episodes. But we can also have, simply put, continuing the story where it's left off, and I think that's what we're going to see. We're not going to see any jumps or adventures of the week going forward, but in a Season 2 when it is revealed. We still gotta wait for that, of course. But what we have here is the first arc is concluded. The Mandalorian story himself is concluded. He's basically in a much better place for himself than he was at the start of the season, at the start of the show. I would say Baby Yoda's story is not complete, but I wouldn't say this season was about him. It was about the Mandalorian, not about Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda may be the breakout star from the show, but he's not the main character. That is the Mandalorian, and we got his story. Think about the subtitles of each of the episodes. They all had to deal with the Mandalorian in some regards, especially this episode, Redemption. While he didn't necessarily need to be redeemed in the sense that we saw with Darth Vader, or spoiler alert, what we see occur in The Rise of Skywalker. But what it is that basically redemption for himself, I think more than anything, like he himself felt like he needed to be redeemed for the mistakes of his past. Those around him, I don't really think felt he needed to be redeemed. At best, he just needed to have a reconciliation with the Bounty Hunter Guild, which is now completed with this episode. So, where this story will go? Well, I laid out some speculation earlier. We just have to wait and see. But overall, this was a great final episode to Season 1. I can't wait to see where the story goes next. We just have to wait and see. But in the meantime, just some concluding thoughts about the series as a whole. It was excellent. I gotta say it was better filmmaking than The Rise of Skywalker. But I think that's because The Rise of Skywalker had so much it needed to accomplish that it couldn't take time to breathe like The Mandalorian was able to due to its more serialized storytelling nature and the fact that it was starting a story, not ending a story, which is always a bit easier in my opinion. But if you're here and you're like, okay, should I watch it now? First of all, why have you watched all my spoiler reviews of The Mandalorian before seeing it? Unless you don't have Disney Plus and you're not going to be getting it till next year, which then I do understand, but I would say is, if you're still nervous and apprehensive, give The Mandalorian a watch. I think you will enjoy it if you enjoyed Star Wars. Particularly, I think if you enjoyed the original trilogy, that's your favorite Star Wars, and your personal favorite, the Star Wars you grew up with, I think you definitely would like The Mandalorian a lot. I think also if you like a lot of this stuff about The Mandalorian, if that's the main reason why you're into Star Wars, you will probably like The Mandalorian as well. And there's a few other, I think, caveats here, but I think overall, most Star Wars fans, I believe, would like The Mandalorian. There's a little bit for everyone. There's a bit of prequel humor, as in making fun of the prequels. There's original trilogy callbacks. There's connections to the sequel trilogy. And of course, I think there's some good humor too. There is some humor directed at the prequel trilogy, but at the same time, I think there's also moments that really do show a love for the prequel trilogy, particularly in regards to the flashbacks about the Mandalorian's past, which flashback to during the Clone Wars. So I think there's a little bit for everyone, every type of Star Wars fan in here. You just may not be in every single episode, but I would say it is there. So that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed my video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for future content. Also be sure to check out the links in the description or the videos on screen now. And as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always.